Hello, I'm Lisa. Namaskaram and welcome to today's Saturday Sit. We're continuing our conversation on observation, and as a little bit of a background, we spent some time looking at installing a stillness practice through these colder months and the importance of that and why it's a valuable goal to do, to set for ourselves and to show up for. And we also spent some time talking about equanimity and just how important it is once we really learn to show up for ourselves on a regular basis through a stillness practice by bringing awareness to our breathing, that we have to train ourselves to allow everything to be allowed. So, equanimity is really about, we talked about evenness of mind, particularly in the difficult parts of our lives. But we have this tendency to brace against difficulty and we kind of coast when things are going well. But as soon as there's any sign of trouble, angst, pressure, pain, as is a lot of our experiences as we're healing from some kind of a loss, we tend to, we shut down, we clench, we resist, and equanimity helps us train ourselves to open more, to brace less, and to allow things to be as they are. Because when we're looking at only what we want to see, we have a distorted version of reality. And to some degree, there's not a lot we can do about that. But training in equanimity is one of the ways that we start to challenge what we allow to become part of our experience and what we don't allow. So once we get in the habit of sitting still on a regular basis, whether that's 5 minutes a day or 5 minutes a week or 5 hours a day, whatever your cadence, whatever the cadence is that works for you. Once we learn to really get still on a regular basis and allow everything to be here, we move into observation when we're moving along our healing path. So that's what we've been looking at. And we talked in our last session about learning to listen to understand, or listen to observe instead of listening to solve, because we have this nasty habit of, it's not really a nasty habit, actually. What I would say is that it's our brains, right? Always working to process information. So we have this habit, and our brain leads the way of when someone is speaking, we like to prepare our response before they're finished. And there's so many reasons why that's a bad idea. And just as many of us who do that on a regular basis, again, it's our brain chemistry trying to get ahead of things and be efficient. But we explored this quite deeply, and that was sort of what we focused on last time. And so I want to focus today on just touching equanimity, touching observation in a very direct way. And as we go through our meditation together, we're going to really explore our own experience of what that has been for us. Hopefully, we can all remember a time or bring to mind a time when we felt like we were really seeing what was in front of us, and just the contrast of that experience versus when we're sort of partially engaged or only seeing what we want to see and those kinds of things. So we're going to really explore that. But before we do, I want to just share anecdotally an experience that I had many years ago that I think will bring this experience of observation, the importance of it, and the manifestation of what it's like to go from kind of observing to fully observing. And I hope that will help us sort of ease into our meditation together. So many of you know I have a special needs, beautiful rock star of a son who's about to turn 26. Amazing. He's very specially, as my husband and his father says, very specially gifted. But he weighs about 70 pounds. He survived all his 26 years on a feeding tube. And as he was an infant, actually, or infant and toddler, probably 18 to maybe 24 months old, we were able to start him with, excuse me, tickle, pardon me. we were able to start him very early on with support via different therapies, one of them being occupational therapy. And I attended a workshop for parents with special needs kids to try to learn more about what his experience was from a sensory perspective, because most or many folks that have some type of special needs, they relate to their environments differently through their sense perceptions. And so, one of the experiments that they asked us to do to better understand our kiddos was to observe an object with a glove on. So, what that looked like was we were all sitting around kind of a big conference table, and we were provided a pair of gloves to put on our hands. And then we were passed an object around. We weren't really looking at it, we were kind of passing it from person to person, and our task was to describe what we felt. And so some of the descriptions were, either it was big or it was a small item. Maybe it felt, hard, or maybe it was malleable. There were some very broad descriptors, as it turns out. And I encourage you, if you're so inspired, to try something like this at home, just to get this spirit of observation that I'm trying to convey, which these topics are not easy to put them into practice. But in any event, we passed this item around, and then, as you may imagine, we were then asked to do it again without the gloves, and to see how were we able to describe this object now that we had more information. And as you might imagine, the responses were, incredibly deep and far and wide in terms of, was it cold? Was it warm? Was it hard? Was it glossy? Was it smooth? Or did it have jagged edges? There were just so many things that we could feel the weight of it. There was it dry? Was it, wet in some way? So many different pieces of information. And so I use this as an example to try to bring our brains around the fact that we live at the center of our own universe, and what we perceive, what we allow ourselves to perceive, dictates our experience and our moment to moment experience. And since we can only ever experience things in the moment we're in, it matters what what we're allowing to reach our brains and to reach our visceral experience. And that's why observation is important, and that's why we're spending some time exploring that. So hopefully that gives you a nice example. There are many ways to explore this on your own. Another thing that you can try is like watching TV without the sound. And honestly, sometimes the images that come on this screen, even if you can't hear anything, you might wonder, like, what planet. I always think if someone came from another planet and saw the images that we let come into our brains, they might think we were a little nuts. So moving into our meditation, again, I do want to thank you for being here. There are so many things and so many places that we could be at this moment in time, and you deciding to make this a priority for your morning, or if you're watching this recorded, I just commend you and congratulate you for giving yourself what hopefully feels like a gift. That's certainly the way that it feels for me. So as we move into the meditation, I always like to just remind us that as we're meditating, there's no wrong way to meditate. Every time we take a breath and we bring awareness to that breath, and we're bringing the life force into our bodies, and we're aware of it, and every time we release that breath, knowing that we're letting go of that which no longer serves us, and letting go of anything that might be stale or kind of hanging around. Technically that is meditation. So there's no wrong way to do it. We do recommend sitting with a straight spine so that we're in this kind of receptive mode, just tilting the chin up a little bit. When we close our eyes, our focus will naturally go between our eyebrows. And so that's just a nice posture to embody while we're bringing awareness to our breathing. If you can sit cross-legged, that's another way to increase that sort of receptivity. But if your body doesn't allow you to do that for whatever reason, sitting in a straight back chair with your feet planted firmly on the ground with a nice L shape at your hips so that you're not pulling on your lower back is an alternative position. Certainly, if lying down is the only way that you can join us, we respect and support your presence in doing that. And there's no wrong way to do this, so we're not judging ourselves. The other thing we're not doing is we're not escaping. Meditation isn't about going somewhere or getting to our happy place. It's actually more about coming home, that we are practicing stillness, we're practicing our meditation in the largest or smallest increments that we can really tolerate, because this can be a very intimidating experience to sit still with ourselves, particularly if we haven't done it. But just whether you're a seasoned meditator or this is something new, it's great to have that reminder that, in fact, meditation is about learning to land where we are, to come home to ourselves, and to stay, to learn that not only can we feel more at home when we do this on a regular basis, but that our need to escape, our need to go to the happy place, actually diminishes with practice. Because as we learn to come home to ourselves, we get really good at it, hopefully. So, moving now into the actual meditation, I will guide us through several cycles of breathing. We're going to take about 6 breaths on the in-breath, release for about 7 breaths, and then there's always just a moment of rest at the end of that exhale. So I will guide us through that, providing support through several cycles and pulling that support away as we go. After a few cycles of breathing on our own, we'll go into an exploration where we're focusing on touching observation directly. So I want to also just encourage you, if the words that I'm speaking are going, over or around you and you're not receiving them, namaskaram. It's okay. It's the fact that you're just here taking this time is fantastic. If you hear nothing I say during the meditation, please breathe at your own pace. If the 6 inhale, 7 exhale isn't comfortable for your body, of course, you need to do it in a way that serves you best. I will begin the actual practice just in a moment or two here with a Sanskrit invocation that just invites light and truth and the immortality of our spirits to really show up here with us today. We're also inviting peace to also infiltrate our space together. And I do lead with that invocation and also wrap the session with that same invocation. So that's kind of your cue that we're kind of starting and then ending. At the end, we'll wrap up with a couple of other exciting things we're working on, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Asatoma Sagamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Trurmaritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Beginning with the in-breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and rest. In breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and rest. In breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And rest. In breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And hold. In breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And hold. In breath, out breath. In breath, out breath. In breath, out breath. In breath, out breath. Continuing our breathing at our own comfortable pace. The mind wanders, return to your counting. If the thoughts are coming, just let them come. Let them go. Just watching them. Not judging ourselves. As we're continuing our breathing, we're bringing to mind, inviting the memory of an experience we had in knowing what to do. In not knowing what to do. A challenging situation, a death, loss, a miracle, a surprise. Something happened in our life and we didn't know what to do next. Perhaps we were wanting to change a job or change a relationship, even change something about ourselves. This memory that we're inviting into our space right now is a memory of the stress that we feel, the dissonance, the undercurrent of indecision. It's the stress we feel when we don't know what to do. And taking this example, bring to mind the longevity of the indecision. It's something that we weren't sure what to do. We weighed it out. We looked at the pros. We looked at the cons. We didn't know what to do. It was stressful. We may have asked people that we trust for their opinion. We may have asked ChatGPT what to do. There came a moment, hopefully for everyone in this session, where there was a stress, there was a period of consternation, and then there was an answer. This answer that showed up with a confidence, with amelioration or a strength. You just knew what to do suddenly. It feels like an aha moment. It feels like a long period of indecision, observing, trying to come up with the best step. And when it showed up, we knew what to do. That aha moment is what happens in our bodies, in our minds, in our spirit when everything lines up, everything syncs. That feeling, that experience is touching observation directly. When we take our proverbial gloves off, when we allow ourselves not just to see what we're trained to see, but everything, all the pieces, all of the data, each point, each element, each component, when we allow it all, when we really look at it, we go, oh, that's what needs to happen. And the feeling we get when we go, oh, that's what needs to happen, is touching observation directly. Cultivating this strength and ability is a game changer. Let's continue our breathing. Deep breath in, taking in what I've shared here. curiosity and releasing it. Taking a few more deep breaths as we conclude our session. Really breathing in this experience of aha. I know what needs to happen, and I'm going to go forward. This is touching observation directly. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Churmanuritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaskaram. Could you feel it? Could you feel the difference between trying to figure something out and remembering what it felt like when you got all of the information and you knew exactly what to do? It's very, it's a blatant distinction. And I hope that our chat has been able to bring that experience right to your doorstep today, right into your body, so that you can pay more attention. Decisions come more easily when we do this. We feel more at home when we do this. There are a lot of great ways to engage in observation. We can't touch it directly for more than a very, couple short period of moments that are strung together, but we can get better at it, and it's a game changer, truly. So, should you wish to get engaged with any of the other work that I'm focused on, I would like to share that on YouTube there is a library of these videos. If you're new to the session and you want to kind of go back and look at installing a stillness practice or look at our sessions on equanimity, that's a great place to do it. So we'll drop that channel in the chat. I also want to share Scars to Metals is the name of the virtual healing community that I've been building slowly but surely over the last many, actually years, believe it or not. And I invite you to check out, we have a beautiful landing page that we created. And if you go to my website, which is lisamcfarland.com, and scroll through, there's an area, Scars to Metals, and that's the landing page. We'll also drop a link to that in the chat of this session. But I invite you to check that space out, particularly if you are struggling with a loss of some kind, if you're working to heal from the change of a job, which is affecting a lot of people right now, especially in the DMV area in the capital, which is where I happen to be seated geographically in Maryland. Or perhaps you've had a change in your health status and you're facing an intimidating, scary diagnosis. Anything that you might be struggling with, the Scars to Metals community is all about learning to wear our scars as metals. So this particular landing page, I do have a PDF of the first chapter of my book called The Healing Path, Stay Present. It's the first book in a series of 3, and I'm actively working on getting that second book published, which I'm looking forward to sharing. But there is an introduction on the book at that location. It can also be purchased on Amazon, should you be so inspired. But you may just want to check out a little bit of my own story, having lost 2 of my children as a young mom, and my own path into spirituality from there. Lastly, we do have a newsletter called Stepping Stones on LinkedIn. If you're interested, you can go ahead and subscribe to that. We have some beautiful just guidance and information about healing that I think people are finding useful, and just those little reminders to keep doing the things that we can do to take care of ourselves so that we can stay present and grateful and healing on our paths. I look forward to seeing you here again in 2 weeks, where we'll be doing an honorary meditation on Mother's Day. And I'm really excited about doing this. I haven't done a Mother's Day meditation in this forum before, so I'll be looking forward to seeing you here. The actual meditation is not just for mothers, it's for anyone that has a mother. So I think we all kind of fit into that category. We're going to explore just not the necessarily just the joys of um, the mother-child relationship, no matter if we're looking at that from the child or from the parent's angle. But we're going to look at some of the challenges that make Mother's Day give a little heartburn for some of us on that particular day. So I look forward to seeing you here. Thank you again for being here. And as always, again, let's do our best to stay present, to stay grateful, to stay healing. And until we meet again, I wish you namaskaram and a beautiful Saturday. Thanks for being here.